I really want to get to Stephen, and I just have to say from the outset, Steve, you absolute legend, have just been an absolute open book, and it's been great to communicate with you throughout this process. And I just have to say your team, it's been mentioned already, are super on the ground and focused on the ground. You're about the only government department I think I will ever give praise to, because I've never seen such an on-the-ground response from a government department in my life. And to hear from you yesterday that you're focused on making sure we hear from businesses and we understand beyond just a survey, but we understand where businesses are at, was something I've not heard from a government department before. So thank you for your work, and I'll throw to you now.
Thanks so much, Zach. Thanks for having us along this morning, and thank you for the kind words around the team. We're very much recognise at the moment the impact on the small business community, and our role is to support the recovery and get out on the ground and engage with the small businesses, as you indicated as well. One of the key things I wanted to point out in relation to what we're going through in southeast Queensland at the moment, whilst at the same time we're continuing to support small businesses in north and far north Queensland that have been through the recent natural disaster up there as well, is that the scale of this event is really quite significant. So we've done some numbers. In the 14 declared LGAs across southeast Queensland, there's around 75% of all small businesses in Queensland. So for those of you that don't know, it's just under 500,000 small businesses in Queensland. So we're looking at huge numbers of potential impact here. So very much our focus, as you said, Zach, is getting out on the ground, engaging with small businesses and doing whatever we can to support. We're from the new Department of Customer Services, Open Data and Small and Family Business. And we want to live by that ethos of customer services for the small and family business community as well. So there's a really, really clear agenda for us. As was mentioned earlier, we've already activated the Business Impact Survey. And one of the key things I wanted to let business owners know this morning is that that survey can be accessed on the Business Queensland website. I really encourage you all to visit our website and have a look at the Disaster Hub and some of the information we've got on there. It provides links to other information such as that Greg spoke to and through the Chamber and Business Chamber Queensland as well. That survey is a key way for us to collect some of that intelligence and to understand what the impact of this disaster is. We use that along with the on-the-ground intelligence that we collect from engaging with yourselves, partnering with the councils, partnering with chambers to directly work with the Queensland Reconstruction Authority and the National Emergency Management Authority to look at direct support to small businesses that have been impacted by disasters. And I'll talk about some of that support in a second as well. We're also very conscious that there's some really critical issues for businesses such as insurance and restoring power that the council spoke to earlier. We have a link to the Insurance Council of Australia, and we are happy to raise issues with our council in relation to insurance. I'm sure that many business owners that hopefully have insurance have already started that process with your individual insurer. We certainly encourage you to do that. We are also really focused on our outreach program, and you touched on this, Zach, before. So what we currently are doing is we're having some of our staff in the community recovery hubs that Kath mentioned earlier. We're partnering with councils in their emergency response groups. We're partnering with the chambers. We're also partnering with Business Chamber Queensland around intelligence, so we can best design the support for the recovery that's going to be needed longer term. We also recognise that the small business sector across the nation has been under stress and stretched somewhat through global factors at this time. So we think it's really important that we we are there to support businesses all the way through this recovery period. So we will be out over the coming weeks door knocking businesses as well, undertaking small business pop-ups, and we also have a small business hotline for support that businesses can call. One of the key aspects of our disaster impact survey on the Business Queensland website is that when a business completes that survey, and it is a quick survey similar to Business Chamber Queensland's approach, complementary, we have an option there for a small business owner to indicate that they would like follow-up from our team. So we've already had a number of businesses indicate that through the survey, and then we allocate that across our team statewide to ensure that those business owners get a phone call and some on-the-ground follow-up if required from our team, so that we can actually tailor the support that might be available to your individual business. So that's a really important aspect of our survey as well. In terms of the financial support and the work we're doing under the disaster recovery funding arrangements, which are the joint Queensland Government and Commonwealth Government funding arrangements for natural disasters, we are working with those bodies that I mentioned earlier, and looking at the range of financial supports that may be applicable in this event. We will be looking to seek government consideration of that in the near future as well. There's a range of different options and funding avenues that we're looking into there, ranging from low interest loans, direct grants for businesses that have been directly flooded, and then a range of other supports that support a longer term recovery phase. One of the really critical issues that, in my experience, comes up in every natural disaster in relation to these funding arrangements is the issue of a directly impacted business versus indirectly impacted. So we're working with NEMA, the National Emergency Management Authority, around the application of that at the moment. But it is important to understand that under the current arrangements, a directly impacted business is one that's been flooded, has been inundated in this situation, or received damage from the ex-tropical cyclone, from the storms and the winds, etc., and has had that direct damage to their business. As Heidi touched on earlier, we know that many businesses have been indirectly impacted through this event as well. And we are looking at a range of avenues that we can source, and what is best to support the broad economic recovery as part of this. We've got further meetings later today to look at that. So any intelligence that you and the members online have, and any support that you can provide is really critical at this stage, so that we can actually tailor what our support best is. Zach, that was a quick summary. I just wanted to touch on that, and to re-emphasise your message as well. We're really keen to engage with small business owners. We know you're doing it tough in this situation, and we're here to do whatever we can do to support. So please reach out anytime. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Steve. Before we conclude and go into the questions, I just wanted to give a brief outline of what the Chamber of Commerce has been doing for the last few days. I want our members to know that we've been in constant communication with several bodies, including the local fire brigade. We've also been in discussions with BCQ, the Small Business Commissioner. We've been in contact with the city and relevant departments as well. Obviously, in those early days, we communicated with regards to what you should do as an employer and what the plan should be. We're now switching, our board is switching into recovery focus now and trying to get this information out there. I get it. I'm a small business owner. Our board are made up of business leaders. We understand the pain that you are feeling. What we don't want to do is talk about just financial advice, as you can see today. What we really wanted to do wasn't to hear from our political leaders. I want to hear from the decision makers sitting in those rooms, sitting around that table. That's really important, talking about on the ground solutions and getting you the information. I did go down on Sunday and yesterday as well throughout the Southern Gold Coast to talk to a few business owners and a couple of our members. It's great to see some businesses operating. I commend the work that the Currumbin RSL has been doing. We're here today at the Currumbin RSL. It's available to our members who wanted to join that didn't have power and Wi-Fi access. So there were businesses that are operating, businesses that aren't operating, and overall the consensus that I'm hearing on the ground is just confusion around obligations, around what the plan is, around what's available to me as a business owner. And so hence why we put this together to get that information out there. Our chamber is incredibly focused on this recovery phase now and making sure we get you that information. We're not here to tell you who's doing the right thing or the wrong thing. What we are here to do is get you the information that you need to plan for the next 2 weeks, and then beyond that for the next 3 months, making sure your business can get back and running. Our focus has always been on the local economy, and we are driven to make sure that our local economy can jump back onto its feet as quickly as possible. And the best way to get that done is through information, giving you that information to be able to respond accordingly.